But now we're going to jump into Road to Wololo Lipany with Kasva against Divine, as we already hear all the scouts trying to collect as many sheep as they can.
And of course, we've got Kasva playing as the Abbasid Dynasty, Divine playing as French. And I want to see one thing. We got to check out that Abbasid base and see what is he doing. Oh, look at it. It's beautiful. The sheep opening. It's always good to see here from an Abbasid Dynasty player such as Kasva. And he should be set up for success. I wonder what these cliffs look like today.
Yeah, let's see if we have another spawn with deer spawning on top of a hill. Right now, a lot of sheep here being gathered by Kasva. Kasva, he actually went for a double scout opening just in order to deny sheep.
Ooh.
Usually, you don't need to go for a second TC as the second scout as the Abbasid, but against the French, it definitely makes sense to go for a second scout because you do want to deny as many sheep as possible. The French definitely being one of these civilizations that are really, really reliant on their food income early on, since they do want to make these really costly units like the Royal Knight, which costs a lot of food. So being able to be out there with a second scout, it not only gives you vision, but it also allows you to just pick off a couple bonus sheep at the beginning of a game and thusly deny your opponent from getting too many sheep and just sitting under his town center for let's just say for most of the game.
And in general, with most civs, with Abbasid being kind of one of the outliers typically, is everyone's been embracing a 2-scout opening in general, pretty much across the board. This didn't used to be the case. Early on in Age of Empires 4, I felt like a lot of players were doing 1 scout. Some players might go for 2. I mean, of course, Roos were, but this has definitely been more meta. And another thing to know about when you have 2 scouts, I mean, it's great to have all those sheep, but that intel, that scouting intel can make a huge difference as players know and understand more than ever about the game. Just seeing that, oh, he built a mining camp. I know that he's maybe going for a second town center or whatever it might be. That intel is so important to know what is coming at you, and it can help impact your strategy.
Yeah, information is absolute key in a game like Age of Empires 4. Just knowing what kind of army composition your opponent is going for, in general, what his game plan is, it really tells you so much. It helps you a lot when it comes to what units you want to go for or what move could be the best for you. Maybe you want to take map control, maybe you want to play more defensively. Just information is key, but it looks like the double scout play here has paid off for Kasva, as he's bringing quite a lot of sheep back into his town center.
Well, and some say the Abbasid's one of the better civs up against French, purely because they've got that phalanx spearman, and you're typically dealing with, you know, these royal knights that are such a pest early on in the game, and they've got the best spearmen to deal with them. So Kasva has a decent civilization going up against this, but still, French players usually can do a good boom as well against Abbasid, right? Because they can train their villagers faster compared to, at least on the Abbasid side, they get them cheaper.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, if you put those 2 bonuses next to each other, the one for the Abbasid just looks way, way better. We got a beautiful zoom here on the monument for the...
Wow.
That's not one that we see every day. That looks absolutely stunning.
Damn, I think they just polished that one, too.
Yeah, is that something like... Yeah, he actually has a lance in his hand, doesn't he?
That's a Royal Knight. It's got to be. It's a Royal Knight. It's ready to go out. No, it's not a Royal Knight. It's a Lancer.
Yeah, and then on the other side, we have Kasva, and he has that really, really epic golden jaguar.
I thought it was a wolf. I think it's a wolf because Kasva's logo is a wolf. I thought that's why that's his statue.
But then he could use the really, really big stone wolf statue, right? Because that one's even bigger. I think that looks a little bit too sleek to be a wolf.
Well, who knows now? I always thought it was a wolf. The important things about it, I mean, we know what's going on here. They got their food, their goal. They're going up to the next stage, and then we'll kind of see what happens there.
Yeah. From this angle, we see it's a wolf.
Oh, yeah. See, I know. I'm a real Kasva fan. He streams every day. I'm in there watching, and I ask him every week, dude, when are you going to qualify for Red Bull? And here he is, making his final run here. And that was a barracks right away.
Really good. Yeah, barracks. I mean, it's something that you need. Against the French, it's guaranteed to be Royal Knights. And if you don't have a spear, those Royal Knights are going to be an absolute pest for you. I mean, you can't even really go for a second town center drop just because if that Royal Knight hits you when you place that second town center, you're gonna be in so much trouble there.
Yep, and oh, he's lucky Divine turned around for some reason because that would have hurt.
Yeah, that scout going down, that would deny a lot of potential information here. Scout being chased back to the base. Kasva still has one scout close to Divine's base for scouting, so he must have, yeah, he already scouted that Kasva Divine is going to go for a second town center since he's on the stone outcropping. Right now, though, Kasva is delaying his second TC by quite a bit. He hasn't even moved out to stone yet, only just now moving out to stone. That's how fearsome the early Royal Knights is. Just by being a potential, it already delayed Kasva's second TC here.
Yeah, you have to get some spearmen first. And you talked about losing that scout and that intel. That actually makes a huge difference when you're up against French because half of the battle is just knowing where those knights are coming from and putting your spears in the right direction because you can't realistically have enough spearmen in the early game to cover all the positions. You've got to know where those knights are.
Yeah, and Divine is just being so annoying here, moving left and right with his Royal Knight. Just APM checking Kasva constantly here, and if Kasva doesn't look out for just a moment here, he might actually lose a villager. That's just how powerful these Royal Knights are.
I want to see patrol. He could do some patrol with that.
Okay, and here we see Kasva now just going over to both sides of the villagers on stone and having both those units on stand ground. And there's second TC for Divine.
Well, I can tell you one thing. There's no doubt in my mind if Kasva qualifies, his banner's got to have a big wolf on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it, right? It has to be a wolf.
Anyone else
if it's
a wolf
anything
yet?
else, then I'd be disappointed. I mean, we got wolf-ish things. I think the Muslims looks like a little bit like a wolf. Maybe?
I can't remember. Have to pull it up. But there we go. Divine putting down a second French town center. Ooh, the brace, the spearman. Good control here for Kasva because many players might miss this and you lose a villager.
Yeah, it just one single charge attack from a knight, and then you just wait for a second because the French Royal Knights, after they charge, it actually takes a little bit for them to get their bonus damage. After the Royal Knight charges, he gets a little bit of bonus damage for a little bit. And we see him, okay, he's not going for it here, but the bonus damage comes in like around a second after the charge lands. So if you just have the Royal Knight after the charge lands just move for a second, and then he's actually able to two-shot a villager.
Yep, absolutely. And the spearman taking out a wolf there and chasing down that knight. Oh, you don't want that to happen. Now, you typically can not only as a scout to know this, but you know if you don't see archers in your face right away that the French player is booming.
Yeah, I mean, the French, he's already 5 villagers ahead, and that's just how strong the French are. Not only do you get a villager advantage just by being on 1 TC, but with 2 TCs, especially since your town centers, they did go down earlier, or they did go up earlier, it just means that that villager advantage is just, it's there earlier. And that looks like a 3rd TC now coming in for Kasva.
Yep, and yes, 3 more TC, more better.
I mean, we got 2 archery ranges now coming in as well. Kasva also going for horsemen, so both of these players trying to counter what each other is doing right now. Army Mass right now looking really good for Kasva. There's not a whole lot of archers coming out right now for Divine. He is on 2 archery ranges, but currently still not looking that solid. Now there we go. We see a 3rd town center coming out for Kasva. This is going to allow him to just scale his economy much better. And with that reduced food cost for his villagers, it's just going to be really, really solid. And as we see once again, Kasva having a scout in Divine space, just getting a lot of intel here. He also knows about the archery ranges, so he knows what units Kasva Divine is going for. Just a lot of information here being gained by for Kasva with that 1 scout.
When I'm set up, once I have my 3 town centers, I'm pretty happy as an Abbasid player. Like, the scariest part is that early age 2 when they're trying to raid you or bring archers in or whatever. Like, he's set up and now he can just start spamming units. That's what Abbasid's so good at doing. Since their villagers are cheap, they can put more resources into military units. Look at this, denying the gold for a little bit, which, I mean, Divine, he's sitting there on 421 gold. Maybe he was saving up to age up or for knights, but that's right there is just going to be annoying.
Looks like Divine is going for a boar play here. He's tanking the boar with the scout and then having the knight be like the main damage dealer for that boar. Looking good here. That's going to be a lot of food income, and that's not going to be food that the Abbasid are really going to look to deny, since, I mean, if they deny it, and they can't really go for it, since they can't gather from a boar. Now Kasva is aiming, is looping his army around. He's looking for where Divine might be hiding his army. Probably gonna find it relatively soon.
All of these spearmen so deep across the map is so bold, considering there's 2 archery ranges sitting there. Like, there's archers out here, which he's about to meet in a moment.
Yeah, he does have the scouts forward though, so he is gonna know in time when these archers are close. And now he knows because they just hit a couple of units there. So now he knows, oh, there's a lot of archers. I might need to go back a little bit here. And he is on double stables as well, so he can make a lot of units right now. Looking at the food economy, that's one of the main advantages for the Abbasid. You don't have to spend that much food on your town centers in order to keep producing villagers. So you're able to invest all of that extra food there into military. And that's just such a huge bonus for them right here.
And I'll tell you, the secret for the app, there we go. We got, oh, he did get the, what's it called? Survival techniques.
Survival?
So additional gather speed, which is very smart since he's on the boar. The secret to the Abbasid composition at this point in the game, he's got his spears for the knights. He's got his horsemen to deal with the archers. You'll want to throw down some archery ranges here next because, as you saw, Divine threw down some barracks and he'll start spamming his own spears. And a purely, like a largely spear composition will do well against a spear and horseman only comp, typically is what we'll see. So we'll see if, there we go, 2 archery ranges.
There he goes, yeah. He was listening in, and he is taking your advice to heart, dropping 2 archery ranges right now. That's, I mean, the question is he going to go for archers, or is he going to go for camel archers?
I think he'll go for regular archers and maybe throw 1 camel archer in. I only know this because I've fallen trapped to this French composition so many times and was so frustrated. I sat down and stared at one of my games for a long time. It was like, I've got to add the archery range. And I started doing it, and it helps a whole lot.
Ah, that was a costly loss there. 2 knights going down, only 1 horseman in return. That really hurts this early on. Divine, though, still on 4 knights right now, so not looking bad in the knights numbers. 4 knights are definitely able to be, well, not just on par, but just straight up better than 10 horsemen, since knights do pretty much counter horsemen. So this is looking really good right now for both players here. I'm wondering right now, I mean, we do have these 7 spears for Divine. I think he needs to take a fight really, really soon, because as soon as Kasva is getting a couple more archers out, this might change, because right now I'm really highly favoring Divine's army composition. In a little bit, not so much anymore.
And that's exactly right, because as those archers get added into that mass, Abbasid just gets this death ball of units, while the knights, they can really get hurt by those spearmen, and it's not such a great trade. But he is putting a tower on the front line. That will help, considering the fact that, you know, Kasva doesn't have any armored units. We're still here at the second age, so any arrows from there will do some damage.
Phalanx now also coming in, so it's that as soon as that comes in, these spears are gonna be a lot stronger than your average French spearman. That's gonna be an army clash coming in here very, very soon.
Nice timing denying this tower. Trying to be very careful. Sometimes you just want to throw those horsemen in there, but those, like, even a small amount of spearmen can so quickly melt horsemen. So he did the right thing. He kind of microed back, waited, because he knows he wants more archers to deal with those spears.
Yeah, Divine now being up to 15 spearmen. This is dangerous for Kasva's mostly horseman and spearman-based composition right now. He really, really needs more archers. Single camel archer as well, just to get that debuff out. But now Divine is starting to push in, getting a couple of villager kills here on the side of the wood line. And yeah, he's just really establishing his position here in front of Kasva's base at this point.
Yeah. And there we go, the horsemen charging in, getting a few of the archers. Just not a whole lot of spearmen to block them, but they do turn around and get a brace. Spearman and horseman, he decides to take that and jam him in there, while the spearmen also flank around to the north, but some more archers and spearmen join him to the south side. Kasva continuing to go after this army as it kites. That tower did go up, and is there anyone inside that tower? I'm not sure if he'd made it in there.
No one inside the tower right now, and I think it's getting, yeah, it's getting the emplacement. It's getting arrow slits right now, but this might not be in time. Actually, though, The trade here, for a while, looked really good for Kasva, but now all the horsemen are dead because of the spearmen, and the enemy spearmen just didn't get focused by the archers, and this was a really good fight now for Divine, and he's capitalizing on that. He's going for 2 rams immediately, trying to now siege down the infrastructure from Kasva.
Yeah, and it's those the barracks and the spearmen with the French composition is what really makes this a hard fight for Absid. It forces them to invest in a bunch of archers, and then when you start investing in more archers instead of other units, then the knights have a better time.
Kasva is now going to be in a timing. He's actually going up with the military wing, so it looks like he needs to go for a technology timing here, or at least he thinks he needs to go for a technology timing. As soon as he goes up, if he gets boot camp, he's going to have a lot more bonus HP on his infantry. So, but he has to hold out until then, and that's going to be really tough with 2 rams knocking on your door.
Well, and another thing tough about this is French doesn't mind too much to be fighting against your even upgraded Age 3 often. Going for a raid, this would be a good distraction. He could get a good pickup, as there are some villagers, I think, to that northwest side on that deer. Could maybe find those. That would be pretty big.
Yeah, if he spots them, it could be huge.
It helps. Not that big. It would help. But losing those houses, that's not going to help his situation. And he's also got his military production built towards the front of his base. So as he's trying to maybe make some of these armored units. Of course, what's the thing you might want to make when you hit the next stage? Maybe some lancers, but your opponent has a bunch of spearmen. They're not going to be super impactful early on, which leaves man-at-arms being some of your best, being another good choice. But they have knights, which are going to do okay against them. A mangonel, though, can be a little bit of a game changer.
I think it's probably mainly gonna be crossbowmen here, because crossbowmen, they still do relatively decent damage against enemy archers, but they also do well against spearmen and especially against these knights. And I mean, right now all of his stables are down. Luckily enough, Kasva is still in the golden age too, but for how long is the question here?
He's garrisoned inside those town centers, so able to deal damage. Of course, the town centers no longer prioritize the ram, so he's actually dishing out a lot of damage. You would think it might be a little weird taking this fight before he gets his upgrades, but he's just using that town center fire to invading this fight, I think.
Yeah, but even with the town center fire, it doesn't look like the fight is going to be good enough. A lot of infrastructure is going down. Golden Age Tier 2 is also denied now. There are no armored units or no castle age units right now in queue for Kasva.
When those town centers are shooting at knights, yeah, it doesn't help a ton. But he does get a raid on the south side. It did look like Kasva's getting a little bit of raid as it's going on, but we also hear Kasva's villagers screaming.
This is, at the end of the day, this is still looking good for Kasva. He can afford to lose it. All of the army for Divine has been cleaned up, and now Kasva is in the castle age with a huge resource bank. He can spam a lot of men-at-arms now. Yeah,
and now he's pushing this back, so Kasva's set up. He's won this. What is that, a forward stable? Is that what I see there?
Yeah, it's a forward stable. I guess Divine really wants to keep up the pressure. The question is going to be if he's going to be able to keep up the pressure, because we're about to see...
He has no food right now.
Yeah, no food, and now Kasva is back up to that golden age. Kasva also running dry on the berries that he was gathering from over there, so has to look towards the other sides of the map where there are still a couple of berry spots to be harvested from.
And it's always fun to catch your opponent maybe looking to make a farm transition or something as they're running out of food. He does have a deer patch out to the left side, though, but I think that boar maybe just ran out.
Divine, he was looking to place a mill on those berries there, but those berries have already...
They're gonna be hungry.
Yeah, a couple of villagers there were a little bit exposed there for a while, but now we see the men-at-arms mess is gonna come in, and with that many men-at-arms, even the knights, they don't trade that well anymore if they're surrounded by men-at-arms.
Well, and he can't really afford knight production right now a whole lot with the food he's at. I guess he's just barely hanging on to that, so he's got them coming in, but yeah, it's going to be a close one as Kasva's going to start rolling on forward with that infantry.
Dropping a lot of production buildings in the front, but he doesn't have the resource, as you said, in order to keep producing units out of these buildings. And this is looking tough now, and it looks like Divine is getting pushed back here, and I don't see any real win condition for him here. It looks like it was an all-in feudal age behind that 2 TC play, but now that he lost the pressure, he threw away too many units under those 2 town centers. He tried to go for the all-in there, it didn't work out for him, and now he's gonna be in a really rough position. Bootcamp also came in between, I believe. So all of these units, all this infantry for Kasva has bonus HP by the infantry at the same time, though. Kasva's like, no, you're my spirit animal. What are you doing?
Yes. His pet has turned on him.
Away yeah.
Yeah, this will be a nice game to study probably for Abbasid players because French is always a nuisance out there on the ladder, but Cassius played this very well. I somewhat wonder if Divine had applied a little more pressure in the second age. He kind of let him get the 3 town center. I don't think that 3rd town center was really contested at all.
Yeah, a big issue for Divine as well was he dove those town centers without grabbing the pierce armor from his blacksmith.
Oh,
so
boy.
he was taking full damage from the enemy archers as well as the town centers firing on him.
Yeah. Very nice battle sense from Kasva, like knowing when to take that fight. Like he took that fight, like some might have waited till you were upgraded in the next stage or had some of your next units, but he baited him in, knew he would kind of commit there, as also applying a raid on the other side.
A 4th town center now coming in for Kasva. This is a little bit overkill. He's already at over 100 villagers, but he's like, screw it, I want another town center. I need more villagers. This is our arguably overkill at this point.
This is our first 4th town center today, and what is that? We had some kind of bet about town centers earlier on, but Kasva has broken our town center limit for the day. If there was like an award for most town centers,
there can be no additional town centers going forward. This was the last. We don't have the capacity to display any more town centers. It's just going to be the starting town centers from now on.
And moving in with those rams and taking out, oh boy, forward military production, man-arms, they're not going to be scared. There's archers. Divine's trying to go to the next stage. His man-arms chasing his archers down. Can he keep his archers alive? He's got spearmen, he's got crossbows. I think he should be okay. His knights might do a little damage, but I think he'll take them out.
He's now getting up with the Royal Institute, so that allows him to grab a couple of Imperial Age upgrades in the Castle Age for his units. However, at the same time, there's a lot of production buildings that have went down for Divine, and now we see Kasva going with almost 20 villagers for a keep, and that keep just screams, get out of my game. I have pushed you back, and this is just looking like a GG at this point. Just the Abbasid mass here with 60 units against 20 units. And then a keep on top of all of these production buildings. This is going to be looking really rough here from Divine in just a little bit.
Yep, and oh, there you go. That keep in your face to finish it off. This is my favorite Abbasid move. Once you've applied dominance with your 4 town centers, drop a keep right in front of their base.
That's one of the favorite pastimes for the Abbasid. Just keep dropping.
What if you lose the villagers? It doesn't matter. You just train more.
Yeah, I mean, you have 4 town centers for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Ah, there he goes. Yep, that's GG right there. It's just Kasva knew when to take his fights, and Divine, arguably, he threw his army away a little bit preemptively. Might have just been better to, instead of going and just try to take down production buildings, might have just been better to try and get a couple more villager kills in there, but I mean, Kasva, he really knew when to take his fights, and it really showed there. He knew when to tag up. He was in a perfect position when he tagged up. After he got to Castle Age, he already had a really big food bank, so he was able to immediately make armored units in the Castle Age. Just really worked out. It's about to start. We're going to have our next game in this best of 3. Kasva against Divine. Holy Roman Empire mirror on Altai.
And of course, it's the penultimate weekly, and Kasva, this is game point, or match point rather. If he wins this, he'd put the series in the bag and put it just even closer to securing that #1 point spot on the leaderboard to be qualified for the Red Bull Wololo event. And we have an HRE mirror. Typically, I'm like sick of watching HRE games at this point in the day because everybody's been playing them, but we haven't seen any HRE today, which is kind of crazy. But now we got 2 of them in one.
Yeah, now we're getting it 2 in 1. I mean, chances that HREs are winning this is 100%, but still it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to pull off. I mean, we might see a couple of differences here. I mean, obviously there are these 2 really, really polarizing landmarks for the HRE, being the Regnitz Cathedral and the Burgrave Palace. Honestly, though, seeing how this is an HRE mirror, the HRE, they're usually like the civilization. They have to Or at least they feel like they have to go for the standard fast castle into Regnitz Cathedral and try to get the relics.
Yes, and there's one thing I'm wondering here at the start of this. Is there any chance we might see any of those, you might say, off-meta landmark choices? Will we see a Minework Palace or anything crazy like that?
I would call the person that says Minework is gonna be like placed by any of these players here. I'm gonna call these players insane. There is no way that any of these players are gonna go for a Minework Palace. It doesn't really work in this matchup. Like, what are you gonna do with Minework? You're gonna get like the speed upgrade, sure, okay. Now, what are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna be
It'll look
spamming
really cool. Well, what about Burgrave?
Yeah.
What about Burgrave? Is there any room for that?
Probably not. I don't think it's gonna be Burgrave as well. I think both these players are just gonna be really focused on their fast castle age timing. They both want to click up to castle age at around that 6-minute 30 mark, and I think there's going to be like a couple of slight differences. One player might go for barracks, the other player might go for a stable in order to contest the relics then once they get to castle age. I think the barracks play probably is the most sensible here, just because with the barracks, I mean, usually what do HRE want to go for? They want to go for knights. That's mostly like the main unit that they want to make in the castle age once they get the relics. It also helps them to just be more mobile. What's the unit that the HRE don't really like to make? It's anything that's a ranged unit. The HRE, they do feel a little bit allergic sometimes when it comes to making ranged units. And so I think Spearman is probably like a good choice if you want to just be able to not just counter the enemy knights or horsemen, depending on what they go for, but also be in a really good position later on. Okay, this is an interesting placement here for
I saw Divine put his... I mean, we talk about the Akka Chapel being the choice because it gives that inspiration boost to everyone in the radius, and this covers the deer and the gold, while on the other side, Kasva is only covering, I guess, the berries, sheep, and wood, but he might have good reason for it.
Is this actually an all-in feudal age play here from Kasva? He's moving
That's what
off of gold.
Yep, I think he's going to be maybe considering gathering a lot of wood, doing something in the feudal age, and this wouldn't be unlike Kasva, although Divine is also, I would say these players are known for being the cheese masters at times, so kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've seen Divine also go for a couple of games where he goes 2TC with the HRE, but it feels weird in an HRE mirror. Like, why?
Well, we're about to find out here in the near future, and he's using that scout, by the way. This is a kind of a next level strategy you could do, is to push your deer. So AoE3 players might be used to doing their herding, but in Age of Empires 4, you kind of got to be tactical about moving around the deer, and they'll run away from you, and then you can kill them. It takes a little bit of micro involved as you see them do this, but this is something you can do easily on this map and get those deer right up against their towns there. And, you know, we were asking, why is this not covering the gold or the deer? Well, he's going to push the deer to it.
Yeah, it's with the deer push, it basically turns this, what I would say is like a 3 out of 10 Archon Chapel placement. It turns it into like a 6 out of 10. So it's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's definitely much better than it was before. Also going for a mill there, so potentially wants to grab something like wheelbarrow or survival techniques in order to gather even faster here. I'm wondering though, he still hasn't moved out to stone, so this has to be like a military production building here very soon. And indeed, we do see the stable going out. But what's Divine doing about this? Like, what does Divine know this? I don't think he knows this. What is Divine's response to this? What is he doing on his side of the map? He's also luring in the deer. No production build. Oh, there it is. He did go for the barracks. Wait a second. That's an insane prediction. He didn't even scout the stable or like what exactly Kasva was doing, but he's going for the barracks here. I mean, that's one of the things that I talked about earlier. One player might likely go for barracks just because I think it sets you up better for the later stages of the game, but I wonder what Kasva is going to do about that now. He does see the Spearman. He does see that Spearman is already upgraded. What's going to be the response here now from Kasva?
Well, if he sees the Spearman, I would assume some archers here. I'm not seeing any stone from either of the players. There's the archer range.
Okay.
Kind of snuck
Kasva's
there in the corner.
have to look out for rashes then, because as I said, HRE, they're allergic to rage units. That That might. I mean, it depends. The HRE, they have this really, really great economy. So they can actually sustain archer production very easily with their wood income, especially since it's under the Archon Chapel. And Divine, he does not have his Archon in range of the wood income. So archers here might be really, really good for Divine. For Kasva, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's easy to mix it up when we got a mirror on our hands. I still just love that he pushed the deer underneath the Archon. That's just, I love it. He didn't have to use professional scouts. I've seen people push him, but not, I don't think, all the way towards an Archon before.
The scouts now did see the archer, so he's pulling back with the spears, knowing that he can't push out quite yet. But looking at the resource bank right now, Divine is looking way better when it comes to a Castle Age timing here. And potentially Divine could just opt in for a Castle Age and then just make a couple of Knights. And Kasva has nothing right now that could help him against Knights.
Yeah, this is a very interesting opening for him. We'll have to see as they run down to the south what Divine is. Yeah, I see a stable. I think he's going to the next stage. Going to be going Knights. I'm wondering what Casva's plan is, because Divine's kind of looks kind of what we would expect.
Yeah, and he's not been able to do any damage right now. And Divine, he is clicking up. A little bit delayed due to his investment into spears, but there has been no damage so far from Kasva. And the Regnitz Cathedral is going to come in. Kasva has scouted that. He has stopped military production right now. And I'm wondering what his plan is going to be from here on out.
I mean, if he could deal some damage with those, it'd be nice. But on this map, it's typically like everything is near the town center, or it's like a very severe choke. Like, I don't think those archers can poke in and really hit anything. And he doesn't want to invest in any more archers because Knights are about to be on his way.
He does drop down another archer range, and he's about to click up as well. So I guess
Crossbows?
the answer might be crossbows. Yeah, crossbowman is very likely to be
I like
the answer here.
Yeah, that's
I wonder how many relics he's going to be able to secure here. Okay, so both players going for the Regnitz, but yeah, Divine is going to be up like a solid minute ahead of Kasva here.
So those Knights will show up, but they got to run across the map, and the relics might be a little more of the thing in question, as of course that Regnitz Cathedral, grabbing those relics, each one gives him 200 gold. He's slapping more villagers on that. He knows he needs to get up. But of course, the crossbow, they will counter the Knights, but the Knights will have the mobility. Will they have the mobility maybe to help get all those relics?
Yeah, you really do need to get a mass, a little bit of an archer ball or crossbow ball going as well, because if you just have 1 to 2 crossbowmen, a Knight is still going to be able to take those fights.
Oh, look at this. He's throwing them all on that deer, and then going to go back to the gold. And does he have crossbows in queue yet?
No, he's going for a Knight first. Okay. Oh, okay, this could be really bad for Divine. His scholars, he doesn't have as many scholars. It looks like he's going for the middle fight, but already a single, like the relic in the middle, I think that's probably the most contested relic on this map, is already being picked up and brought back by Kasva. And Divine, he is sending out a Prelate right now towards the middle, but that relic has already been gathered.
Yep, so it'll be the race for the relics, because that's easy passive gold income. And with that landmark they just aged up with, that's 200 gold per minute for the HRE. And they don't even have to put it in the landmark itself. They could put it in a tower, they could put it over in Keep, and they give great buffs to all those buildings.
Yeah, the Prelate timing is really crucial here. And the Prelate, it's safe. There is no way for Divine to be able to deny that relic from going over to Divine now. He is, however, getting a couple of villager kills here, actually, with that Knight.
One relic in. It looks like Kasva's got 2 more on the way home.
Yeah, actually, this is looking really good for him right now. He's going to be at 3 relics, and then there's 1 relic to the bottom. The Divine is moving towards it right now, but right now, Kasva, he does have military close to that entrance. Okay, no, he's moving back now. He's going to try and focus on getting those 2 relics that are still out on the map for him back into the space.
Yeah, probably a good idea. But very impressive if he is able to get 3 of these relics in, considering he did age up slower. We go Wololo is up to the north, I assume. Yep. Maybe gonna turn around and try to do another Wololo. The wolf getting in on it too. Oh, Relic goes down. I think he might. He's gonna escape that one. It's the mini game. This is a mini game when you're up against HRE. But I think the Kasva's gonna get this.
Relic there pretty much guaranteed here for Kasva now. They're so close to his base. As the crossbowmen as well, they're going to do a lot of damage here with the knights as a meat shield. That should net him the fight here, I believe. But no, there are actually quite a few knights here out for Divine, and he's actually able to take this fight in a convincing fashion.
I'm laughing watching people in chat who are like melting over the Aachen placement because they can't put a farm in there. People, HRE players really love their Aachen chapel placement, and yeah, you usually want to be able to squeeze a farm in that north side, but it's not a factor yet.
It's gonna be a factor in just a bit, as all the food under the town center of Kasva has just dried up, so he's gonna have to transition into farms at some point. And Divine, he's full on army crash course. He's just spamming military 24/7, and Kasva, he does not have the economy right now.
Yep, and as you mentioned, crossbows in small numbers aren't enough to deal with knights, and Divine's just throwing the knights in there.
Yeah, Kasva, he does have those 3 relics compared to 2 relics, which Divine is gonna have in a little bit, but the food, it's just looking so bad right now for Kasva. He needs a market desperately just in order to buy a little bit of food here. Else he will not be able to sustain crossbowman production, and he's gonna need it. Right now, Divine sitting on 7 knights, Kasva being on 4 crossbowmen. Knights can literally just dive those crossbowmen and take him out.
Yep, and he's got a sacred site. That's a little bit of gold, so I mean, look at the villager count, 2 villager difference. I don't know. I think army counts would be the biggest thing right now. Divine with 8 knights, Kasva with 6 crossbows, and I don't know. This could be we'll have to watch the next few moments to see if there's any sizable lead, as he's actually healing up his knights too.
Yeah, there's also a stable right now, which isn't fully built. That stable, if you just get rid of it now, that could be an additional 2 farms, and now it comes into play. The suboptimal Aachen placement here just means that you're not going to have any really good farm placement. Ooh. And I'm not just going to try and dive onto those crossbowmen here. This is going to look really bad for Kasva.
Yeah, I don't know if he needs spears or just some knights of his own, but those crossbows, he's kiting pretty well with them, but yeah, he is losing crossbows.
Yeah, the kiting was really good here, actually.
Yeah.
He did manage to kill most of the knights, but look at the idle time that's been caused. His food economy is pretty much non-existent right now, and that actually turned from not being able to make military to also not being able to make villagers. So now Divine is actually ahead by 4 villagers now. Didn't even kill any villagers in that fight. But
the gold. Castle's got 1,200 gold. Can he make something with it? Maybe money can buy him happiness. We'll see.
He is getting a market now, so he's gonna have to trade. I would say go for a little bit of food, but then mostly into wood, just because you need the wood for farms. If you trade into food, you're gonna have some short-term food for military, but you're gonna need the wood in order to get your farm transition going. Doesn't look like he's gonna go for that, though. He's gonna buy a little bit of stone, he's gonna get a Springald emplacement. He's just gonna try to lock himself up a little bit inside of his base. But it's really looking grim right now for Kasva. Just Divine, he has all the map control. He doesn't need to go for farm transition. He can go out onto deer. He can potentially go for the boar in the middle. You can go with 8 villagers on the boar, and a prelate is actually able to inspire exactly 8 villagers. So that works out perfectly there for Divine, should he go for that boar in the middle.
You could also drop some keeps on the sacred site mid, and when you're pushing into HRE, it could be a little more difficult, because it wouldn't be impossible for Divine to slowly build a highway for that emergency repairs towards a keep. That could be bid.
Also important to note right now, sure, Kasva has an additional relic, but Divine, he does have 2 of the sacred sites. So that means the gold income for both of these players right now is equal, at least when it comes to the passive gold income from the relics and the sacred sites.
It's looking like Divine's saving up for an age. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. So if he goes up to the next age, he could really spam out some villagers. I can't tell. Kasva doesn't look like he's anywhere close to aging. And let's see if they get a little pickup here.
There we go. They found each other. Prelates are going to be healing the knights up.
We're trying. Nice.
They're doing a really good job with the heal. It's like that knight is actually just surviving against these
3 volleys.
Yeah, it's really rough now. He's able to kill a couple of the prelates, but there's still knights in Kasva's base at the same time. I mean, he does have the sprinkled emplacement, so he's actually able to fend those off there. But behind this, Divine is just about to age, and Kasva, he's so far away from aging. I don't think Imperial Age is going to be realistic in this game for him.
Yep, so Kasva moving out. Divine not aging up quite yet, but here you go. Looking good. Army count. Looks like the crossbows have the majority right now. It's one crossbow as the drive-by happens. He turned around. Yeah, he says, stop that. You fly. And he gets another crossbow. Oh my gosh. They're running.
This is rough now. And just a little bit more gold. And there we go. Divine now being able to click up with that Palace of Swabia. That's going to be a lot of villager production in just a little bit.
This is like, I don't know, what model printer is this thing? What's the greatest printer you have in Germany?
Greatest printer we have in Germany.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's actually in Heidelberg.
Oh yeah, is it the Palace of Swabia?
There's a company which makes like really big printers, and it's in Heidelberg. It's called Heidelberg Print, directly translated.
Yeah, I don't know if this is completely true or just like an elaborate lie, because I think either could be true.
Yeah, it's true. It is Heidelberg.
I'm Googling Heidelberg Print right now.
No, it's actually true. I can confirm. They make really big printers.
Google's not decisive yet. Yeah, I see one on Etsy.
Knight's now catching out. That's not just Knight, but also Horseman. Horseman being the perfect counter here against these crossbowmen. Looking really good right now.
Yep. And ooh. Divine Age 4 Kasva can't be very happy seeing that, considering he's got 40 food in the bank right now. So he's got to apply some pressure or something here, because we know those villagers are coming out very quickly. Is that enough berries?
Oh my god, there's so many villagers. Look at the villagers just being printed 20... Okay, actually not 24/7. There's a little bit of idle time there. But when that printer does go online, it's gonna be a lot of villager production. Kasva right now being 15 villagers behind. Still idle there, but only 17 food for each of these workers. Now, there we go. He's queuing them up by the dozen now. Half a dozen at least.
Castle's Knights diving in, going to be taking out some villagers, but remember, Divine, he can just bring those right back to life through the technology of the villager printer. I can just see it now, like Pessy's going to like talk to some printing company and going to have will be the Palace of Swabia, sponsored by Canon.
Oh man. Yeah, that palace is absolutely wild here right now. It's producing so many villagers as well. Like, even if Kasva takes down like 15, 20 villagers, it doesn't cost Divine a lot to just immediately replenish them. And now that's a keep. Is that Divine's? No, it's Kasva's keep.
Oh.
It's Kasva's keep. Kasva's going for the all-in here. He's placing a keep on top of all of these production buildings. Kasva knows that he has to pull off something crazy here in order to get back into this game. And crazy it is that he's going for. Oh my god, and now Divine pulling a lot of villagers, but you can't pull villagers. That keep is gonna go up. There were enough villager pulls here in order to get that keep up, guaranteed. Knights do go down for Kasva, but the keep does go up, and it's on top of all of these production buildings.
This would be a hell of a way for Kasva to clinch his position. Now now that hut is basically in the wings. Does this mean Kasva can't clinch this thing anymore?
My god, he really has to stick it out in these games. This is gonna be incredibly rough. If he's actually able to come back from this, that would be absolutely amazing. I don't think it can be done, just because he's already behind so far when it comes to technology as well as the population space right now. But getting that keep up is absolutely huge. It means that Divine, he can't really produce that many units right now, at least not from those production buildings in the front. And it looks like there's gonna be another keep coming out soon.
Look at the villager count. 73 versus 45. Divine is stripping the map of resources. I guess he would need to snipe for landmarks very quickly. I don't know how he's gonna do this.
It's looking very rough right now for Kasva. He does have enough stone for another keep. Is he gonna drop it next to the Archon Chapel? Or potentially next to the Regnitz? I mean, if you can do both, it would be incredible. If you get it next to the Regnitz Cathedral, just taking 2 relics away from Divine. And it's gonna be right next to the Archon Chapel. This is gonna be insane. It's also in range of the blacksmith, so yeah, it's right next to the Siege Workshop. That's what I meant to say. So the Knights could, if there's a cannon going, if the cannon shoots immediately. Is it gonna shoot? Is it gonna shoot? It's not gonna shoot. It's not shooting. It didn't shoot the right target. And now the Knights can snipe the bombard.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
Everything is falling apart right now for Divine. He was in such a good position, but now his bombard got sniped. He is in the Imperial Age. He does have the villager advantage, and he's called GG!
Oh my gosh, Kasva does it! Does that clinch him his spot for Heidelberg? What's the point count now?
Oh my god, I did not expect that. I did not expect that. Kasva pulling off one of the biggest comebacks that I have ever seen. Absolutely pressuring Divine into being like, you think you've won, you think you're Imperial Age, bam, 1 keep, bam, another keep. And he's out of there. Oh my god, wow. What a game. What a game.
I feel like I just got all kinds of new inspiration for what to do against those HRE fast Imperials, because you know it's popular.
Yeah, just drop 2 keeps, but man, that was absolutely huge. And now Kasva is no longer at 70 points. He's gonna be at 75 points, which means he's practically qualified. Like, a lot of upsets would have to happen for Kasva to not be qualified at this point in time when it comes.